I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is called Walls of Protection and Imprisonment. So oftentimes we find ourselves erecting protections for ourselves against feeling, against being hurt. And while these walls can be effective in keeping things out, they're also effective at keeping us in. And that can become a burden, actually, rather than a benefit. So we're going to talk about these walls and protections, and should be an interesting conversation. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together. Vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling sensations when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, walls. We put up walls to protect ourselves, and we're particularly talking about emotional walls. We're going to gird ourselves, we're going to fortify ourselves so that the pain of the world can't affect us, that the pain of life can't reach us. And I had a remarkable session with a client yesterday, and we were dealing with grief. And this person has, like so many of us, experienced extreme grief, extreme loss in life. And their demeanor is such that when something has occurred, traumatic events have occurred, they've been very stoic, very strong and fortified and stoic and impenetrable, we could even say. And we decided finally, after a long period of working together, we finally decided yesterday to address grief and grieving. And they realized the way that they represented this condition, we'll call it, or the circumstance, the situation, the visual representation that they had is that they had put up this shield. It was a metal shield that was a box with sharp edges that was 4 feet thick. This big metal shield, 4 feet thick, all around them. And they could see the sky above and they could see the dirt under their feet. Good morning, Dido. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. Really good. Welcome. And welcome to everybody who's joining us. So anyway, we're talking about walls of protection and imprisonment. And so although they could see the sky above and they could feel the dirt under their feet, and the sky was clear above, they were still surrounded by this 4-foot thick metal enclosure that moved with them everywhere. They didn't actually feel the weight of this metal enclosure, and they could actually somehow see through it. And what occurred in the context of the session was that they recognized, good morning, Rosalind, welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning. What occurred for them in the context of the session is that they hadn't ever realized that they had done this for themselves. They hadn't realized that the whole trajectory of their lives from the time they were 17, when they were at their mother's deathbed, that from that time forward, they had been carrying around this wall. And when we were able to identify the wall, they recognized that there was a deep fear of what would happen if this wall of protection weren't there to protect them from the incursion of the world and the onslaught of emotion that they might have to endure. And it was very interesting because in the process, what happened was that the wall then became sort of like a bubble. And then that bubble became sort of like a glass Christmas ornament. And then it faded away. And the fear of that interaction with life dissipated. And what remained was some exhaustion. And I don't know exactly how this is going to pan out for them. However, they now have a direct relationship with life. They now have the ability to feel and experience life on a very different level. And along with that comes certain pain and sadness, but also along with that comes intense love and joy and fulfillment and excitement and engagement, relationship from the core of one's being to others in the world. So I want to ask you, have you recognized a wall that you may have erected that you believed was facilitating your engagement, your ability to live in the world, protecting yourself in a way that allowed you to function in the world? And if you have you noticed the confinement? Have you noticed the restriction of this wall? When I was a kid, I think I might have been 11 or 12 years old, I wrote a poem about how I'd built this castle with a moat around it to protect myself. So instead of a wall, there was this big moat. And it was effective, but I couldn't get out. And I felt trapped and oppressed inside that beautiful castle. And I think at some point, I don't know that I ever actually went through the process, but eventually what happened is the drawbridge went down. And I came out of the castle. I guess in a way it's still maybe there to be able to retreat to. And it's a choice to let down the drawbridge. It's a choice that we make to actively engage with life rather than trying to fend it off, rather than trying to defend ourselves from it, to allow ourselves to experience life in all of its richness, with all of the emotion and the joy and the sorrow and the transformations. And what we get to recognize is that so much of our experience is dictated by our interpretations, is dictated by the way we think about things. Like the pain of loss is something to be avoided. Is it? In my experience, the pain of loss comes in waves. In fact, again, speaking for myself, but I invite you to check in with yourself as well. No emotion remains sustained and constant over an extended period of time. We go through cycles of emotion. We go through cycles of attention. And when we allow ourselves to experience what we're experiencing, when we deliberately put down the drawbridge or dissolve the wall and experience life, those experiences pass. The one constant is change. And so when we look at life, we can look at life as this flow, this river of change. It's all one river, but at any moment, its flow is shifting and changing. Sometimes it's flowing over rocks and rapids. Sometimes it's more still and calm. Sometimes the river is heavy with flooding, and other times it's sparse from extended drought, perhaps. And it's all the same river. It's all one river with all those different attributes, all those different expressions. And that's our lives. That's what our lives are. It's a river. It's a river of change. And so what's unchanging is that it's a river. What's changing is the conditions of that river, or the expressions of that river being us, right? And so what do you notice about the things that open you to that flow? What are the things that allow you to put down those walls, to put down those defenses, to put down the drawbridge, to come out of the castle? What are the things that empower you to engage more fully in life? My sense is that safety is very much at the heart of that. Because why do we erect the walls in the first place? For protection. We're feeling a threat, right? So if we can cultivate a sense of safety, and I guess that means we get to redefine perhaps what safety means. Because safety doesn't mean not getting hurt necessarily. You know, there's a level at which we live in these physical forms, in these physical expressions, where we are mortal, right? And yet there's a part of us that is not, that a part of us that exists beyond time and space. And that part can't be harmed. There is no harm. There's just a wholeness. And so if we can connect to that part, if we can embody that part in our lives, then we can be connected to the river and the ongoing flow of that river. And there's a deep, deep sense of peace around that, perhaps safety, we could say. It's a different scale. So Rosalind says nothing is permanent. Realizing when to savor, slow down, and enjoy. So perhaps noticing our attachments to the way things should be. Really good, Rosalind. I think the time to savor and slow down and enjoy is now. And now. And now. Like each and every moment. And I tend to think that it is our attachments to our ideas about the way things should be that keeps us separate from our ability to be present, to savor, to slow down, to relish and cherish and rejoice in life itself. So I've been walking every morning outside. I'm so grateful for the weather and the early sun that has made that feel wonderful. And where I am, there are lots of incredible, beautiful, huge trees. There's so much greenery. There's so much nature. And to be out seeing the trees, seeing the plants, seeing the sky, breathing the air is something that is opening my heart in a way that I don't think I could have anticipated. And I don't know if it has to do with the exertion of walking. I don't actually know, but what I'm noticing is that whatever those walls were that have been perhaps still defending my heart seem to be melting. And I find myself brought to tears very easily with this opening of heart. There's so much in the world to to mourn and also to rejoice, and to just be living present to awe around. And so this notion of protecting ourselves, we're trying to fend off the experience of life. What if we were to just embrace it and to fully embody that vitality, that richness, all of it, the whole spectrum, the agonies and the ecstasies? What if we welcomed all of it, knowing that none of it's permanent? You know, that as we fall into our deepest sorrow, that moves and changes. That when we experience the height of bliss, that moves and changes. And that it's all part of this one glorious river that is our passage through this, our own time and space. And so the fear that we have, we can't really defend ourselves against the things that the fear is trying to keep at bay, not without a cost. So the cost of those walls is a disconnection from the wonder and richness of truly living life. It's a disconnection from the river, from ourselves, from the greater whole and the magic and wonder that is this glorious planet. And so, to in tribute to what you said, Rosalind, savoring, slowing down, even the agonies we can savor. You know, we've heard the term sweet sadness. There can be a sweetness in our sorrow. The fact that we have the range that we do, that in living our lives, we're having all these experiences. What if the purpose of life is simply to have all these experiences? What if it's the experiences themselves that we came here for? That this physicalness that we are allows us all these sensations, all these emotions, all these thoughts, all these beliefs. What if the function of it or the purpose of it is simply the experience of it and the expression of it? And that through that experience and expression, we get to enrich ourselves and enrich the river. What if we're here serving life, expressing life in all its permutations, even with our suffering, even with our walls, for example, too? You know, what if it's all part of this cosmic expansion? How does it feel to engage with that as a notion of being? It feels to me like there's a freedom in that. it opens a window to wonder and appreciation for the richness of our lives. So that's the invitation. Step into the river. Maybe put down the walls. Just feel the icy chill and notice how it brings a greater aliveness into your body with your feet on the rocks in the river. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, share, and follow Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And so good always to have you here with us. And thank you for the opportunity to have and share these morning musings together. So until next time.